All right, let's dive into the incredibly messy legal saga that has completely taken over the movie It Ends With Us. And believe me, this is way more than just some on-set drama. It's a full-blown Hollywood firestorm between its stars Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. And the claims and counterclaims here are honestly just as dramatic as anything in the movie itself. So what's this really all about? Well, at the heart of it all are two stories that are so different they just can't both be true. On one side, you have these really serious allegations of sexual harassment and retaliation. But on the other side, a pretty shocking claim that this was all a calculated, long-term plan to seize creative control of the film. We're going to unpack both sides using some pretty explosive new evidence that's just surfaced in court filings.
So, yeah, how did we even get to this point? To really get what's happening now, we've got to rewind a bit, back to the summer of 2024. That's when the movie came out, and the tension between the director star and his lead actress started to become, well, impossible for anyone to ignore. The first time the public really got a sense that something was wrong was back in August of 2024. During the press tour, you could just feel it. Lively and Baldoni were on completely different pages. She was doing this very glam, celebrity-focused thing, while he was all about the film's serious themes of domestic violence. But the real red flag, the thing that made everyone go, whoa, what's going on here, was Baldoni being a total no-show at his own premiere. I mean, that's a huge deal. And that public awkwardness, it was just the opening act for the bombshell that was about to drop. Okay, fast forward to December 2024. That behind-the-scenes tension? Yeah, it completely erupted. It wasn't quiet anymore, it was a full-blown public scandal, and it gave us the first real story about what had supposedly gone down. And then, bam, a huge article drops in the New York Times, revealing that Blake Lively had officially filed a legal complaint. The story, which sounded like it came from a leak, was filled with these allegations of a toxic set and a targeted campaign against her. And just like that, the public narrative was set. So what was she actually claiming in the lawsuit? Well, it really boils down to two huge things. First, she alleged that she had to endorse sexual harassment while on set. And second, and this part is crucial, she said that when she tried to speak up about it, she was hit with a retaliatory smear campaign, one that she says was orchestrated by Justin Baldoni's own team to turn everyone against her. For months, that was pretty much the only story anyone knew. It was all about Lively's allegations. But then, Justin Baldoni fired back. And he didn't just deny everything, he filed his own lawsuit that offered a completely different and, frankly, pretty shocking version of events. And this is where your head starts to spin a little bit. Because on one side, you have Blake Lively's claim, which positions her as a victim who was punished for speaking out. But then Baldoni's counterclaim paints a totally different picture. He says the allegations were just a tactic, a smokescreen for a much bigger, premeditated plot by Lively to basically wrestle creative and financial control of the movie away from him. Which brings us to 2026, and why we're talking about all this now. A whole treasure trove of new evidence has just been unsealed. We're talking depositions, private text messages, you name it, and this stuff adds some absolutely incredible and explosive context to both of their claims. So first up, what did the studio think about all this? Depositions from executives at Sony Pictures, the film's distributor, show that they were caught right in the middle of this feud. And based on the court filings, let's just say they were not happy with how things were going down, particularly with Blake Lively's behavior. And to give you a taste of just how high the tensions were, get this. During a sworn deposition, a lawyer asks a top Sony executive, "Do you remember telling this individual that you thought Blake Lively was an effing terrorist?" And her answer, under oath, was a simple yes. Wow, that one word tells you pretty much everything you need to know about the chaos that was happening behind the scenes. Okay, now let's get to the text messages, because these are really at the heart of Baldoni's countersuit. And the first thing you have to notice is the date, April 2023. This is a full month before filming even started, and long before any of those alleged on-set incidents could have happened. Here we have a text from Blake Lively to her friend Taylor Swift. In it, she calls Baldoni this doofus director and asks for a huge favor. She says, quote, "I need help with him." Now, as you can imagine, this text is being presented as Exhibit A in the argument that this was the beginning of a coordinated effort to influence the director. So, what kind of help was she talking about? Well, according to the court filings, the plan was for Taylor Swift to use her immense star power to put pressure on Baldoni. Lively apparently wanted Swift to praise some script pages that Lively had rewritten herself, pages that were totally unapproved, to try and manipulate Baldoni into putting them in the final film. And this quote from that same text exchange, it really spells out the tactic. Lively suggests that if Swift praises the new scenes, quote, giving him credit as if he wrote them with me will go such a long way. You can see why Baldoni's legal team is holding this up as clear evidence of a preemptive, manipulative plan. The language in these texts gets pretty wild, too. It shows Lively started framing her whole effort in this very cinematic way. She started referring to her powerful circle of A-list friends, not just Swift, but allegedly names like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, as her dragons, basically ready to be unleashed in her campaign. And here's the actual exchange. Lively texts, I have never felt more like Khaleesi. I have dragons. And Taylor Swift replies, I'm just picturing you muttering Dracarys? So, yeah, it's pretty clear Swift was not only aware of this whole dragon metaphor, but she was playing right along with it, which seems to confirm her role as one of them. Okay, now jump forward more than a year later, just a few weeks before the lawsuit becomes public knowledge. In a text to Lively, Taylor Swift sends a headline about Baldoni and writes, I think this bitch knows that something is coming because he has gotten out his tiny violin. Baldoni's lawyers are arguing this text proves Swift knew about the impending legal action way ahead of time. So after you sift through all this new evidence from the court filings, the depositions, those explosive text messages, you're not really left with any clarity. What you're left with are two completely irreconcilable versions of the exact same story. So it really all comes down to two competing realities. Narrative number one is the story Blake Lively is telling. A woman speaks out against sexual harassment and gets punished with a vicious smear campaign. But then there's narrative number two, the one Baldoni's team is pushing, that this was never really about harassment. It was about an actress orchestrating a hustle takeover of a film, using her immense power and famous friends to undermine the director from day one. Ultimately, what these court filings really do is pull back the curtain on the brutal power dynamics of Hollywood. And it leaves all of us with a really fundamental question. When you're dealing with this much money, this much ego, and this much ambition, how do you tell the difference between a legitimate fight for your creative vision and a calculated campaign just to destroy someone's career? I guess that's what the courts will have to decide.